These are loving relationships.
Yeah.
Sex is part of it, but that's not a focus.
But was it a physical relationship where you both were just attracted to each other?
Kody Brown has been left reeling, pacing his Flagstaff property like a restless animal trapped inside his own cage, as the shocking waves of Christine's tell-all memoir ripple through the family and beyond. What began as whispers on Reddit, Threads has now exploded into a cultural firestorm, and the man who once proudly held himself up as the patriarch of a sprawling plural family suddenly finds his empire in flames. According to those close to the situation, Kody is in panic mode, scrambling to do damage control as intimate bedroom secrets. Details he believed would never see the light of day are now plastered across the internet and dissected with forensic precision by fans, critics, and even his own estranged children. Christine's book, which officially drops in September but has already leaked onto shelves at Barnes & Noble, is proving to be far more devastating than Kody ever imagined. In her promotional interviews, Christine hinted at secrets and nitty-gritty, stuff that fans would never expect. What she didn't fully prepare the world for, however, was just how raw, humiliating, and brutally honest her revelations would be. Early readers who rush to share the details online describe a narrative that completely shatters Kody's image as a husband, as a partner, and as a man. For years, viewers suspected selfishness, favoritism, and manipulation within the Brown household. But Christine's words go further. They confirm what the cameras never fully captured: a pattern of entitlement, control, and transactional intimacy that turned marriage into a one-sided service industry where only Kody got to be the customer. The most explosive bombshell to surface. First is Kody's shocking bedroom ritual. According to Christine, Kody demanded hour-long full-body massages before any intimate moment could occur. Picture that. 60 straight minutes of Christine kneading his shoulders, rubbing his arms, soothing his legs, acting essentially as his private spa attendant, all before she was granted the privilege of intimacy. Yet when Christine dared to request reciprocity, to ask her husband to return even a fraction of the affection she gave, she was shut down with words so cold they still sting years later. He told her plainly, "It doesn't turn me on to massage you." With those 8 words, Kody exposed not just selfishness, but a mindset that saw his wife's needs as irrelevant, invisible, unworthy of consideration. Every woman who has ever carried the weight of a one-sided relationship recognizes this moment instantly. It is the kind of soul-crushing rejection that goes beyond physical intimacy. It says, your pleasure, your comfort, your body do not matter here. For Christine, this wasn't just disappointing, it was devastating. And now, laid bare for the world to see, it paints Kody Brown not as a loving husband, but as the kind of man every woman dreads, someone who takes endlessly while giving nothing back. But Christine didn't stop there. She rewinds all the way. Back to their wedding night, peeling away the sanitized images the TLC cameras once showed. She writes in haunting detail about the pain, the lack of tenderness, the tears that came when she realized her husband of only hours could not, or would not, show even basic gentleness. She had trusted naively that his experience with his other wives might mean he'd be patient, that he'd guide her with care. Instead, she says, their first night together was rushed, selfish, and deeply traumatic. The result? Christine says she was so sore she couldn't attempt intimacy again for the remainder of their honeymoon. That is the kind of confession that leaves readers breathless, heartbroken, and furious all at once. To any outsider, these revelations would already be enough to scorch Kody's reputation. But in the tangled web of the Brown family, the scandal grows darker, because apparently Christine was not the only one who knew about these humiliating details. Enter Robyn Brown, the so-called favorite wife, whose presence in Christine's story turns an already grotesque tale into a chilling psychological drama. According to Christine's memoir, Robyn not only knew about Kody's massage demands, but actually confronted Christine about why she had stopped performing them. Imagine the audacity of that moment. Wife number 4 interrogating wife number 3 about whether she was adequately pampering the husband. How could Robyn possibly know such intimate details? Christine connects the dots for us. Kody himself had been sharing those secrets with her. He was relaying private information about his bedroom life with Christine to Robyn, turning their most intimate struggles into fodder for conversation. For any woman, that is a gut punch level betrayal. To realize that your husband has not only dismissed your needs but then carried your private rejections into the ears of another woman, one positioned to pressure you back into compliance, is the kind of violation that leaves scars. This revelation transforms the so-called massage scandal from an embarrassing quirk into something far more sinister. It begins to look less like selfishness and more like a calculated system of control. Kody created unreasonable expectations. Hour-long massages before intimacy, then disclosed details of Christine's compliance or refusal to Robin, who in turn applied subtle but piercing pressure to get Christine back in line. What emerges is a portrait of a household where intimacy was never private, where boundaries were consistently crossed, and where one woman's resistance became another woman's leverage. Fans reading these accounts on Reddit have described the dynamic as psychological warfare, and it is not hard to see why. Christine, by sharing this, has revealed a culture inside the Brown family that feels less like plural marriage and more like a panopticon, a surveillance state where every choice, every moment of vulnerability was monitored and weaponized. She describes confiding in Robin at times, believing she had found a friend or ally, only to later discover that her words were twisted, repackaged, and reported directly back to Kody. That sting of betrayal echoes for every reader who has ever trusted the wrong person with their secrets. For Kody, these aren't just embarrassing revelations. They strike at the very core of his identity. He has spent decades curating an image as the patriarch, the leader, the strong man holding together a complex family system, but Christine's memoir strips away that facade, exposing him as weak, selfish, and perhaps worst of all, dependent on his favorite wife to enforce his control. Sources close to the family say Kody is livid, not only because Christine has spoken, but because she has revealed him as inadequate in the very area where men's egos are most fragile. His fury, they say, is volcanic, because for the first time, the world sees him not as the charismatic father figure from TLC, but as a man who failed spectacularly behind closed doors. What makes this entire scandal even more devastating for Kody is the timing. His family is already fractured. Christine has left, Janelle has separated, Mary is gone, and even his children have distanced themselves, openly criticizing him online. To now have his former wife publish a memoir that paints him as entitled, cruel, and sexually selfish is like throwing gasoline on an already raging fire. For many fans, Christine's book has become not just a story about one woman's liberation, but a handbook of red flags, a cautionary tale of what happens when manipulation is dressed up as family values. Christine's bravery in telling her story also signals something larger. For years, the wives were expected to protect Kody's reputation, to maintain the illusion of unity, to swallow their pain so the family brand could thrive. By breaking that silence, Christine has declared openly, she will no longer carry his secrets. The weight is no longer hers to bear. That act alone is enough to send Kody spiraling, because the one power he always held, the power of narrative control, has slipped from his grasp. And make no mistake, the internet has noticed. Fans on forums dissect every detail, commentators create viral videos breaking down Christine's revelations, and each passing day sees new headlines splashed across tabloids that amplify the scandal. The words hour-long massages have already become a meme, shorthand for Kody's bottomless selfishness. Every new reader who opens the memoir adds fuel to the fire, and Kody's attempts to spin, deny, or downplay are drowned out by the sheer force of Christine's authenticity. For now, the so-called massage scandal is the tip of the iceberg. Christine's book hints at even more revelations, stories of control, betrayal, and humiliation that have yet to surface publicly. But if this is the opening salvo, one thing is clear. Kody Brown's carefully crafted persona will never recover. Christine has burned the bridge, and in the flames, she has illuminated truths that resonate far beyond the Brown family. This is not just reality TV gossip anymore. It is a raw examination of entitlement, manipulation, and the high cost of silence. And as Christine's words spread, Kody's fury only grows, because the truth he worked so hard to bury is finally, irrevocably, out in the open. It is almost chilling when you step back and see the structure Christine describes. Her memoir makes it sound less like a marriage and more like a corporate system where women provided endless labor, emotional, physical, and intimate, while Kody sat at the top of the hierarchy collecting benefits. Readers on Reddit nailed it when they compared it to a multi-level marketing scheme. The wives weren't simply partners. They were participants in a pyramid where the prize at the top wasn't money but Kody's approval, attention, and fleeting presence. Christine explains how this system functioned with almost mechanical efficiency. If she didn't provide the massages Kody demanded, it wasn't just between the two of them. Robin would somehow know. She would approach Christine under the guise of sisterly concern, asking why she had stopped. That alone reveals so much. Robin wasn't casually curious. She wasn't stumbling upon information. She was briefed. Kody had already shared the details, giving Robin the role of quiet enforcer. For Christine, the betrayal cut deeper than the selfish demands themselves. It wasn't just that Kody refused to reciprocate. It was that he carried her refusal out of their bedroom, handing it to Robin like gossip, transforming private struggles into public leverage inside their household. Christine describes the humiliation of realizing she was performing not just for her husband, but for an audience. Every touch, every word, every rejection was monitored, discussed, and turned into pressure. It created a psychological cage. How? Do you refuse when you know your refusal will be dissected by your husband's favorite wife, the woman whose influence already overshadows you? Women reading this memoir have described on social media that they felt a familiar chill. The feeling of being monitored, judged, and coerced in spaces that were supposed to be private. The triangulation tactic is painfully clear. Kody sets an unreasonable expectation. Christine resists. Kody reports to Robin. Robin applies pressure, cloaked in concern. Christine is cornered. To anyone who has lived in toxic workplaces or families, the strategy is unmistakable. It's manipulation disguised as communication, enforcement disguised as solidarity. And Christine doesn't present this as a one-time event. According to early readers, she makes it clear this system extended far beyond massages. It covered expressions during filming, yes, even the way she looked on camera. It extended to conversations among wives, which were twisted and funneled back to Kody. It even touched their interactions with the children, with Kody using his presence or absence as a weapon. If a wife displeased him, he simply wouldn't visit her household. His love became a transaction. His time became currency. He would withhold himself until they complied. That is not love. It is punishment dressed as piety. Christine's account also exposes the hypocrisy in Kody's selective affection. She recalls how he stayed an entire month with Robin after Solomon's birth, 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after, while spending only 2 days with her after she gave birth to Truly. 2 days. The cruelty in that imbalance is staggering. Fans of the show had long suspected favoritism, but Christine provides receipts that strip away any doubt. Her pain wasn't paranoia, it was math. The contrast becomes unbearable when paired with what viewers actually saw on Sister Wives. Christine allegedly endured years of being told that massaging her wasn't arousing for Kody. Yet on camera, the world saw him massaging Robin's feet, cooing about how much he loved doing it because he adored her so much. The juxtaposition is brutal. Imagine being denied even the most basic gestures of affection, only to watch your husband perform those very gestures joyfully for someone else on national television. That isn't just selfishness, that's cruelty sharpened into a weapon. Christine's revelations highlight a chilling consistency. Kody demanded service from the other wives but gave tenderness only to Robin. He would eat and sleep at their homes but rarely offer genuine companionship. If the atmosphere wasn't perfect, if the energy didn't revolve around him, he would leave and retreat to Robin's sanctuary. His other wives became little more than unpaid labor, expected to maintain households, raise children, and provide intimacy on demand, but denied reciprocity, denied comfort, denied respect. For Kody, this memoir is a nightmare not because it exaggerates, but because it documents. Christine lived this reality for decades, endured it silently, and now she has written it down in black and white. These aren't rumors or speculation. They are her lived experiences recorded for the world to read, and that permanence terrifies him. Once written, once published, the narrative slips from his control forever. He cannot spin it away. He cannot silence it. The timing makes everything worse. His children are estranged. His finances, according to rumors, are crumbling. His public image has already been battered by years of fan backlash. Now Christine has delivered a memoir that cements his reputation not as the misunderstood patriarch, but as the manipulative, self-serving tyrant his critics always believed him to be. Women who read Christine's words feel the sting of recognition. They share their own stories online, about partners who withheld affection, about relationships where boundaries were ignored, about the humiliation of watching love and tenderness freely given to someone else while they were starved of it. Christine's story resonates not just because it is shocking, but because it is painfully universal. She shines a light on dynamics many have lived through but rarely spoken about. That is why fans say this memoir isn't just entertainment, it's a lifeline. For Kody, though, it is a noose. His reputation has been dragged into the open courtroom of public opinion, and Christine's testimony is devastating. The massage scandal, the triangulation with Robin, the blatant favoritism with newborns, all of it creates a mosaic that reveals who he really is when the cameras stop rolling. And no amount of damage control can erase the fact that Christine has stopped protecting him. Her silence once shielded him. Her words now destroy him. The so-called massage scandal may sound, at first, like just another piece of messy reality TV gossip, but when you strip away the surface, Christine's revelations reveal something far more sinister. This isn't just about one wife refusing to rub her husband's back. It is about a man who allegedly built his entire understanding of intimacy on a foundation of entitlement. In Christine's account, Kody didn't approach physical closeness as something shared between equals. He treated it as something owed to him, something he was entitled to collect, like a bill coming due. Every woman who has ever felt like she was performing instead of connecting will see herself in Christine's story. What makes these passages in the book so devastating is not just the detail, but the precision. Christine doesn't tell her story in vague, emotional swipes. She provides timelines. She recalls conversations word for word. She describes the repetition of patterns over years, so meticulously that it becomes impossible to dismiss her memories as exaggerations. She was not a confused wife trying to make sense of chaos. She was a woman keeping mental notes, building a ledger of betrayals and humiliations, before finally deciding to hand it all to the world. The internet's reaction has been immediate and overwhelming. What began as a Reddit thread dissecting the first leaked passages has mushroomed into a collective outpouring. Facebook groups, Instagram reels, TikTok stitches, even private group chats among women who've never seen an episode of Sister Wives are buzzing. Christine's revelations have become more than reality TV commentary. They've become a mirror. Women are sharing their own stories of husbands who demanded elaborate preparation before intimacy, but scoffed at their needs. One Reddit user confessed that reading Christine's massage story made her physically ill, because it reminded her too much of her ex-husband who operated in the same cold, transactional way. Another wrote that her partner dismissed her requests for affection as unsexy or too much work, while expecting her to provide endless comfort on his terms. The comments section reads like a collective therapy session. Women are not gossiping. They are recognizing tactics. They are naming red flags they missed in their own relationships. They are thanking Christine for documenting what manipulation looks like when it dresses itself in the language of marriage. This, sources say, is what has Kody panicked more than anything else. He expected anger, maybe even ridicule. He did not expect solidarity. He did not expect Christine's words to ignite a support group spanning continents, crossing cultural and religious boundaries, resonating with women from all walks of life. He is watching as his reputation erodes not just among Sister Wives fans, but among mothers, wives, counselors, and therapists who now cite Christine's story as a case study in control and coercion. The scandal has triggered something far deeper than entertainment chatter. It has cracked open a conversation about weaponized intimacy. Because demanding hour-long massages while refusing even the most basic reciprocation is not simply selfish, it is strategic. It is a power play. It establishes the dynamic. One serves, one receives. One gives endlessly, one takes endlessly. Christine's book lays this dynamic bare, and women everywhere are recognizing it. What makes the fallout worse for Kody is the timing. His family is already fractured. His children, many of them adults, are estranged. His public image has taken hit after hit, Now Christine has given the world a text that doesn't just question his character, it documents his failings in chapter and verse. When private bedroom behavior morphs into a cautionary tale traded in mom groups, referenced in marriage counseling sessions, and dissected in university gender studies classes, you don't just lose your dignity, you lose the ability to control your legacy. The parallels Christine draws between physical manipulation and financial manipulation cut even deeper. In her book, she describes how the family's TLC earnings were supposed to be funneled into paying off the Coyote Pass land, a dream project the wives were told would secure their future. Everyone believed they were building toward something collective, but Christine alleges the reality was very different. Just as Kody demanded her massages but refused to give one back, he demanded access to collective funds, then redirected them to serve his own priorities. According to Christine, while she worked multiple jobs, even while pregnant, covering bills, medical expenses, and hospital stays for their children, Kody was allegedly withdrawing money for purposes that did not benefit the whole family. The book reportedly describes a moment when Isabel needed back surgery, with a deductible so high it could have bankrupted her mother. Christine writes that she received some family money for the expense, but the language of her account makes it clear. It wasn't automatic, it wasn't guaranteed. Even urgent medical needs had to be fought for. Meanwhile, Kody and Robin were, according to Christine, living more comfortably, buffered from the financial stress that suffocated the other wives. The contrast is sickening. Christine, the mother of 6, juggling multiple jobs, night shifts, and medical bills. Kody, the patriarch, allegedly siphoning resources and directing them toward the comfort of his favorite household. The pattern is undeniable. In intimacy, in finances, in parenting, Kody took, Christine gave. And when she finally stopped, when she dared to say no, the entire structure of his control began to shake. Sources close to the family whisper that what enrages Kody most is not that Christine left, but that she has now explained why. By writing the book, she hasn't just moved on. She has documented the system that allowed his selfishness to thrive. And in doing so, she has pulled the curtain back for millions of people who will now never again see him as the charismatic father figure of TLC. They will see him as Christine saw him: manipulative, controlling, and incapable of treating his wives as equals. Christine's decision to stop the massage routine becomes, in her book, a symbol. It is the moment the dam cracked. Years of quiet endurance gave way to resistance. Every woman who has ever reached that breaking point knows the moment. When you realize you've given more than you ever should, and you stop. For Christine, it was massages. For other women, it may have been chores, childcare, or emotional labor. The details differ, but the awakening is the same. This awakening rippled outward. Robin's questions about why the massages had stopped exposed the surveillance network. Kody's fury revealed how fragile his control really was. Christine's refusal became the seed of her eventual independence. And now her book immortalizes that seed. Millions will read it. Millions will recognize themselves in it. And Kody's fury, no matter how loud, cannot erase it. The aftermath is catastrophic for him. Business ventures, tarnished, public image, shattered, future relationships, forever shadowed by the intimate details now etched into print. Christine has done more than leave him. She has stripped him bare. And perhaps the most poetic irony is this. By being so consistently selfish, by demanding endlessly without ever giving, Kody created the very rebellion he feared most. He built the cage. Christine broke free. And now, in sharing her story, she has handed other women the key.